Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Before the election, President Biden said he would not pardon his son Hunter, but last night he broke that pledge.
Yeah, Hunter Biden would have been sentenced this month on tax and gun crimes, but the president gave his son a full pardon.
President Biden, like any president, has the power to pardon anyone, and that's something that's generally, not always, but generally reserved for convicts who have completed their sentences. But in this case, the president used it to pardon his son 10 days before the sentencing would have taken place, and 6 months after Biden himself pledged that he would not do this.
If you didn't see this coming, then you're a fool. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification, multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. If you like channel, like content, and what I do here, you can support me, the link, everything's appreciated. And once again, comments are being removed without notice because gun-related channels are being scrutinized heavily. Just realize that if I remove your comment, I will tell you. So let's talk about this. And I held off on talking about this. I really didn't want to talk about this because I saw this. I have spoken about Hunter Biden and his charges for a long time now. And every time I said that he will never be held accountable, I went back and forth with people on the comment section saying, oh, Trump this, Trump that, because they got TDS. And I kept telling them, but Hunter Biden is not going to face any accountability for what he is doing. But this is a deeper story than just these tax evasion charges and this gun charge. It's a lot deeper than that. Let me remind you of what Joe Biden said.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. Those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law.
And let me remind you of what his affirmative action hire press secretary said also.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead.
Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon
And
his
one
son.
more.
It's still a no. It's still a
It
no.
will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No. The president, I can speak for the president, and he said he would not pardon his son, and I'm just going to leave it there.
And here we are. Hunter Biden has been pardoned by his father after repeatedly saying he would not interfere with justice. No one is above the law. Now, here's some theories, and this is just my theory. Biden waited till after the election. Why? He could have pardoned him before this. He was hoping, and this is just my theory, that Kamala Harris would win. He could then pawn off this pardon on Kamala Harris and have her just kind of dismiss the whole thing through the DOJ. And then he would look clean coming out the other end. But seeing Harris did not win, it is now flipped back on him. It's kind of interesting how that works because, let's be clear, he was going to pardon his son from the word go. Don't even suggest otherwise, okay? He was not going to have his son go to jail, even though he was guilty. Let's cut the crap. He was guilty, and watching the liberal media, my God, the mental gymnastics is amazing.
So, Karen, you just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic governor of Colorado, Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. the president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son. And I think there are going to be Democrats who, from a political perspective, are going to feel like they may have to say something, but who probably on the inside understand why President Biden went ahead and did this. And I got to tell you, the crowing from Republicans, and I know my dear friend Scott will have plenty to say about this, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally had pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France. So if we're going to talk about, who's using what system in what fashion, let's put it all on the table and let's be honest about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a leg to stand on in this one.
Let me give some context to what Scott is saying just there, Karen, before you address it, because this pardon, I do not believe we have mentioned it, not just granting clemency for the crimes for which Hunter Biden was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun, a tax evasion, but also a blanket pardon for any federal crimes that may have been committed basically between 2014 and 2024. So what about that literal get out of jail free card for a 10-year period, Karen?
Well, look, literally, the president recognizes that Republicans have been for years now trying to attack the president himself, go after his family. And when you have someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of I will be your retribution and getting back at his enemies, I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent what I'm going to do to protect my son and to try to take the target off of his back once and for all. So that's my reading of it. But again, I think that the hypocrisy here, it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has said and done things, said things and done other things. And again, he's a convicted felon himself. He has used his power to benefit his friends, his wealthy allies. In this instance, we're talking about a man who decided to take care of his son after years of unrelenting attacks. I don't blame him.
Oh, he loves his son. Oh, this isn't the same thing as, no. This reeks of impropriety, and the conservative commentator nailed them down on CNN. Just nailed them down.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
But here's the thing. Think outside the box, because several people have done so.
So I just want to reiterate, even though Biden did lie, I actually do not have an issue with the pardon as it pertains specifically to his two current charges, right? The tax charge and the gun charge. Putting that aside, though, when you notice the period of time in which Biden has provided the blanket pardon for his son, the dates are super fishy. I noticed that it's like this lengthy 11-year period. So like what justifies that? And more importantly, when did he commit the crimes that he's being prosecuted for? So I looked into this, and luckily Lee Fong did some excellent reporting on this issue. He writes that the order grants Hunter a pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. So that's 10 years, a 10-year span. So he writes that the pardon window extends beyond the period of the crimes prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Okay, because after all, the illegal firearm purchase was on October 12th of 2018. Hunter failed to pay his 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019 taxes on time. So what justifies going all the way back to January 1st of 2014? Well, 2014 is when he was tapped to serve on the board of the Ukrainian gas company Burisma. And while Joe Biden has not been found guilty, there's no evidence to indicate that Joe Biden engaged in any influence peddling. Recent reporting from the New York Times indicates that Hunter Biden was certainly trying to engage in influence peddling. Now, there hasn't been any prosecution on those grounds, and I think that the congressional Republicans were so intent on catching Joe Biden in some sort of criminality that they kind of didn't pursue prosecution of Biden on these alleged corruption charges or corruption allegations. But nonetheless, I think that window is far too long. And to me, it signals that there's a possibility that Hunter Biden did something illegal, and Joe Biden is offering this blanket pardon for a lengthier period of time in order to protect his son. I could be wrong about that. But what do you think, Cenk?
Think outside the box. This isn't about tax evasion and gun charges, which he was convicted on. Joe Biden gave him a pardon that covers all the way from 2014 to now. If it was about the tax evasion and the gun charges, why did you have to cover them all the way back? Why you have to go back so far? It's obvious that Biden knows that his son is in some dirty crap way back when and is covering for his ass, and it's really shocking. Corruption in your face. Now, there are people saying the only reason he went to trial, all these charges were even brought, is because his name is Biden. I say he got off because his name is Biden. Let me remind you of what the consequences are for lying on the 4473 form.
Mr. Wilcox, if a person lies on Form 4473 and is a user of unlawful drugs, you can get between 5 to 10 years for that. Is that correct? Is that my understanding?
No, I believe Congress changed the sentence last Congress.
What is that sentence now?
Up to 15.
Up to 15 years.
There it is. Like I said, this was so corrupt that I didn't even want to talk about it. But this whole notion that Hunter Biden is being criminalized or being scrutinized because he's a Biden is a complete projection of the fact that he is getting off because he is a Biden. Lying on a 4473 under the circumstances of what happened with this firearm, and we know this story, I've talked about it so much, leads to a bigger problem of showing that there is two levels of justice. And this goes across the board, and we've seen it repeatedly over and over again. But I knew this was going to happen. I'm not surprised. I just really question the timing, and it literally is going to make Biden's presidency, it's going to have the biggest, skid mark stain on it as he goes out the door with this move. And many Democrats are saying the same thing. So let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.